the main focus. Um, I am sort of an example of somebody that didn't fit into the educational system. So I don't have the credentials. So I have no right at all to talk on this subject because that's the way academia tend to be. They tend to have an elitist attitude, and they do not understand that just like Washington was self-educated, and what was it, Lincoln was self-educated? A lot of the people in the past were self-educated, and they were self-educated through books. But today, it's amazing. We not only have books, we have the internet, and we have so many sources that one can become very educated without being part of the educational system. And then we have people that have started great internet companies and so forth that don't have all these credentials. A lot of the people that have done great things in this world did not have educational credentials. So, and a lot of times what the thing is, when people have these credentials, they don't have to prove themselves when they're speaking to you, how well educated they are. Oh, I'm from La-di-da University. And then, that's it. What credential do you have? And I say, well, I've come from the College of Hard Knocks or whatever, the real world. And I have not had the ability to rest on my credentials and so forth. So I've had to prove myself a lot more and work a lot harder. And since I have not fit into our society very well, I had a lot more to prove. But that's just me personally. I'm just trying to get my juices going to deal with this subject, and I thought this introduction would be a good way of getting it started.
Yeah, I think it is also important to realize that in the spiritual academia, that is all what we build when it comes to the gut intuition and things in the spiritual energies. There's no credentials when it comes to those things. But that is also to say that spirituality is not involved as much as it should be in academia.
Well, the thing about the spiritual underlies everything. It's what gives you the passion, the inspiration to achieve great things. And it's what makes you focus on that which is relevant, that which will make a difference in a serious way in this world. Yeah. And a lot of times academia is not practical enough. They're not teaching people so that they can do well in the workplace. They can do well at making a positive difference in this world. And there are a lot of people with PhDs and added extra degrees. And I don't usually mention politics, but a lot of politicians have these advanced degrees and they're not doing so well. And so it does not necessarily mean that because you have an advanced degree, it automatically means you're going to do well, because the educational system hasn't focused enough on being practical and training people for the workplace, training people to make a serious difference in the world. And the spiritual plays a big role in that, because the spiritual underlies everything. And where's the spiritual in academia?
Yeah, where's the passion? Mixed with the reality-based senses of what's going on with academia. Where is it focused on? Where is it building individuality? And where is it really feeding people's level of spirituality?
And it can there's a certain elitism that comes out in higher education, and people that don't have higher education are often looked down at. And a lot of the smartest people are electricians and plumbers and people that are making our system work. And why should they be put down? I think that we need to show a lot more respect for people that are outside of the higher educational system, and especially people who have achieved a lot in business and so forth without, advanced degrees. I have almost 2 years at college, but I had a problem related to the way the educational system does not allow for unique people like me. They don't have they don't have the programs that are tailored to people that are different from other people. They tend to put everybody in the same
Correct.
in the same box. So,
And the testing as well is not designed for the correct learning styles that individuals have. Some people just do not test well at all, but they know the subject and they know the things that the test is trying to get them to reveal that they know. But it is the learning styles of which um, it's important that people have the correct levels of showing their maximum spiritual potentials.
and one of the things that I noticed, because I have a limited visual memory, is that the educational system would take my completely over my mind, and I would feel like my mind was overloaded, and then I couldn't focus on what really counted for me. They sort of like they showed the subject I had to take, and then they overloaded my mind, and that, to me that was very much mind control, and then I wasn't going anywhere. They weren't putting me in any direction that would help me, but then I'm so unique, it would be very hard for any educational system to serve me very well. That's why I'm a spiritual pioneer. That's why I have gone, intellectually and spiritually in directions other people haven't gone. And one of the things I did was once I decided I was going to go in a different direction with my astrology, develop a new astrology system, I ignored and tuned out everything that had to do with astrology that I'd learned in the past, and I stayed away from anything that had to do with astrology in the past so that it wouldn't taint me, so that I could clearly take on a new view of things. And that's one of the things that you have to be careful about. You get so stuck and glued into certain mindsets that you can't be innovative. You can't, you get trapped. And then there's all these people saying, this theory is so wonderful, and they overplay the knowledge we have now, so nobody can go in a new direction and develop new knowledge because how dare you go up against our wonderful, knowledge that we're putting forth in the system, the stuff that we believe in. How dare you go against it? And of course, there are people like Einstein, and there are people that have, gone against the trend over and over again, and they're the great innovators. And that's one of the things the educational system. It can't be taking out the people that are different, the people that are unique. And just saying you have to fit this box or else, because they lose a lot of people, and that's where the spiritual comes in. People are individuals, and we have to tailor the educational system better for individuals, and also become more practical. And that has to do with, I believe that we need to have more apprenticeship programs and connections with business related to education, so the education isn't just filling people's heads with stuff. It's actually filling them, preparing them to actually connect and go into business. In other words, I think there should be a straight line. Nobody should be able to graduate unless they are qualified for a job and there's a job available for them. In other words, if there's not enough jobs, they should have less students. But they should tailor it so that everybody that gets educated is qualified. Don't let anybody through that isn't qualified. Make sure of that, and then they should go immediately into the job market with an extremely high probability of getting a job. That's the way I think about that. I'm a practical person. I don't live in some theoretical academia community.
Exactly.
I've lived in the real world, so I had to be practical to survive, and I've had to struggle to survive.
Yes.
So that gives me a very hard spiritual attitude and a desire for results. I haven't lived, I never have had a high income. I've never had a cushy lifestyle. So I am not sheltered from the real world, And a lot of times academia appears that way. Not all academia, because I know there's a lot of diversity there. And I'm trying to reach the more practical, reasonable people in academia that are open-minded to the fact that the spiritual is very important,
Yes.
and they're open to looking into spiritual theories that are outside the box, especially some that are way outside the box, like mine. And if they look into mine, I guarantee you that you will see results if you're willing to look into it.
Yeah, definitely. Those types of mindsets that have the openness is very important with academia, because there's so many things that close the mind to new and spiritual things that are needed to be looked at. The engineers that don't really see the spiritual side need to stop and just investigate a little bit of that spiritual feelings and those spiritual, innovative, new things that are making this world an important place, as far as learning how to live in the mundane everyday life.
And one of the things is that the academia a lot of times gets caught up in um, making too much over how people use language. And language is not precise. You try to do the best you can with language. And I'm not going to always be politically correct in the use of language. Because I'm outside the box, I'm going to try to use language as best I can. And I'm not going to worry about all the traps that are being set by academia or by people that think they know better, the self-righteous types. I'm going to speak my mind, and I'm going to try to add enough qualifiers. And I know the way the press and academia seems to be connected to the press a lot will tend to take things out of context and spin things.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to be very careful about. You have, when somebody says something, you don't immediately jump and say, "Oh, you're disqualified. You made this statement." What you do is, can you elaborate? What do you really feel? And you give them a chance to really express themselves more thoroughly. Because a lot of the times when you jump at a conclusion too quickly, you miss a lot of the deep thinking behind it. You can't be cutting people off without giving them the chance to express themselves. So don't be so quick to knock people down and say you are discredited. I'm not quick to discredit people.
It's a great point.
I will listen to, and I will. I'm not going to judge immediately, but I'll make some judgments. But my judgments will be reserved a certain amount until I get more information. And when I get more information, I'll adjust my judgments. I won't get locked in the way a lot of the people with the mindsets we have in this world are today, in a world that can get so polarized. And why do we have wars? Why do we have so much violence? Because people cannot be reasonable, and they cannot find the right balance. They tend to go to extremes in the way their minds work. And the truth, a lot of the times, is in the complicated center. And that's what people have to realize. Don't think that, because don't get too self-righteous and go to too much of an extreme. And the educational system has to understand how important that point is.
Yeah, and also to reach into the critical thinking of spirituality, plugging that in on every level of your researching and trying to evolve. It's always good to plug in the spiritual, critical thinking, and trusting the gut intuition to do more, ask more.
And one of the things is that we have such a huge student loan debt because education has become so expensive, and that's cutting out a lot of very qualified people. And when you cut out people that are very intelligent because they don't have money, you're losing valuable resources that could and a lot of the times those are the people that would be able to make a big difference in handling the serious problems in this world, because they have the minds a lot of the times that have faced more of life, but they don't have the money. And that's what's been happening lately, is a lot of people have been cut out of our educational system because it's so expensive, and a little bit of elitism says, well, we're expensive because we're so great. Well, they could be a lot greater than they are, in my opinion. I don't see that this world is doing so well when it comes to how education is having its impact.
There's diamonds in the rough out there.
So I'm very much into getting the education system to find ways to be cheaper. And we have the internet. We have ways that people can be educated. And then we can develop ways to test people so that people have the knowledge. I mean, we have these people that in the military that get trained to for fighter pilots or whatever, and they have these simulations to get them to test and see how well they do. And we can do amazing things with testing, and we can figure out who is qualified and who is capable of doing certain things. We have amazing technology. Let's put it to use and get people educated. Let's have less games that are just games and more games out there that actually are training games to make people, to develop people to be good at certain things. And so I see amazing possibilities in the area of education and higher education, but we need to look outside the box, and we need to get less stuck in the past in regard to how we do things.
Yes, and less judgmental of all those labels and certificates, and understand that the need for a spiritual balance in academia is necessary.
Okay, this is Positive Vibes Enterprise. The subject today was academia or higher education. I appreciate everybody who listened to this. Please subscribe.
Yes, please leave us questions and comments. Thank you so much.